Hey, first of all, I want to say thanks to everybody that's been donating. You know, specifically, I believe the guy's name is Mark Reyes or Mark Rojas, and he's been coming through pretty regular on the donation. So I just want to say thank you for that. And this right here is from Anthony Endicott. He's got a D number, D04545. He's here in Lancaster right now. But he had wrote out a story about how he got stabbed, and it's pretty crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and read it. All right. It happened on March 5th, 2007. For me, it started out just like any other day, only I was not in the shoe. I was in New Delano on D Yard, and I knew my own people were gunning for me. So I was taking all the precautions I could. I carried a piece within the building or when going to chow, and I let the woodpile know that I carried the piece, so I felt reasonably safe inside the building. But I knew that I was on my own. I tried to get Neil Stone and Jeremy Wayne to take a piece out to the yard for me, but they both gave me excuses as to why they couldn't do it. And I had morning yard, so I knew I had to dress for the occasion. I cut the sleeves off of 2 sweatshirts to wear under a long-sleeve blue shirt. At 230 pounds, it added to my bulk, and if they came at me with a tomahawk, it would save me some blood. At 9:15 a.m., they ran the yard. As they were stripping us out, I seen there was not going to be a way for me to take out my knife out the yard. And I wasn't the type that was going to hide out in my cell or give this Diet Coke generation the idea that they put fear in my heart. I'm going to interject real quick. The thing with Tony is that the squad knew that the white boys were gunning for him. They had received a kite that they were going to kill this guy. So they had pulled Tony out, and they let him know. So, that I give the homeboy credit, man. That takes heart right there. Knowing that they're gunning for you, knowing they're going to whack you, and you didn't lock it up, you went back out to the yard, that shows a lot of heart. So, all right, at that time, I've already had 24 years under my belt. I was confident that if I could stay in the line of sight of at least 1 or 2 gun towers, I would just have to count 8 and keep my hands and feet moving long enough to turn a knife fight into a gunfight. And I knew, without a doubt, there was going to be a knife fight. As I was getting stripped out, I could see all the woods checking me out. And not because I was good-looking wood and hung, but because they were expecting to do something to get myself off the white boys that were checking him out, they were expecting him to do something to try and get himself off the yard, like tell the cop that was stripping him out that, he had to lock it up because he was in a hat or in fear for his life, or at least get myself caught trying to sneak a weapon out to the yard. That's what a lot of guys do, If they're going to get whacked, they'll try to bring a piece out to the yard, get caught with a hole, All right, but having sized up all the woods on the yard, I knew that there were only about 4.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
I knew that there were only about 4 dudes there that I thought would even have the stones to pick up a knife, let alone know how to use it with any deadly effect. So after getting my clothes back on and lacing up my boots, I walk over to the yard shack to get some handballs, which got to be a mistake because I had to give up my ID. You need your ID to leave the prison. Then I walked over to the handball courts just to see which woods would follow me. It didn't take long for me to figure out who the shooters were. As I knew the story was that was going around about me was that I was supposed to be a dropout Aryan Brotherhood. And Scotty Crosno tapped the only the supporter Aryan Nations member on the yard, Timothy Calhoun, an AD out of Arizona. He and some lame from San Diego named 420 were shadowing me and trying to make it not look obvious. So I walked at them a few times to see where their heads were at. Each time I did, they would turn away from me. Finally, I got bored with it all, and I went over to the bars to work out. When I walked up there were about 10 white guys working out. I went and did a set of pull-ups, and when my feet hit the ground, I looked around, and there were only about 3 woods still at the bars. I could tell they were not in the know, like they weren't in the loop, you know. Timmy and 420 were holding up the wall in front of two buildings about 25 feet away from me, so I knew where they were at. But I had 2-block and 1-block gunners watching my back. So I was showing the kids, you know, an old guy could more than hang with them on the bars, doing sets of 20 to their 10. Moving the party over to the dip bars turned out to be mistake number 2, because doing a set of dips, it put my back to Dumb and Dumber, Tim Calhoun and 420, the white boy from San Diego. And that's what they were waiting for, fucking cowards. It went down while I was doing a burnout set. 1 minute I'm feeling the fatigue of a good workout. The next minute I look down to see about 2.5 inches of steel coming out of my chest. Just that quick, I got hit twice in the back. I dropped and ducked under the bars to put the bars between me and my attackers. They stabbed me about 20 times. They even stabbed me in my mustache twice. That's when I heard the gunner in the gun tower fire his assault rifle. I heard it and I felt it at the same time. I'm the one being stabbed and the gunner shoots me. It was all part of his plan, though. The bullet went through me and it hit Tim Calhoun. I heard Tim Calhoun groan as the bullet hit him, and I turned toward him and I said, "Ha!" as he was dying, you know, because I knew that it was a kill shot. I turned my attention to the other guy, but he seen what happened to his partner, and he laid down. Me and Tim Calhoun were laying next to each other in the intensive care unit as they tried to save his life. The doctors cut open his chest and they started pulling out organs. They pulled out his liver, his kidney, one of his lungs. They dropped them into a metal pan. So that's kind of crazy right there when you think about it. You know, he's sitting there explaining this story to me, right? The guys tried to kill him. The cops shoot. They kill Tim Calhoun. Staying in the hospital, watching as the doctors are cutting him open and pulling organs out of his chest. You know, that's kind of crazy right there. So they used, and then he's laying there, they used saran wrap to cover his chest. And as he was laying next to me, he never regained consciousness. His mom came 2 days later, and the doctors explained to her, that there was nothing that they could do for him. Pull the plug. The other guy was in the hole, and he was charged with attempted murder on me, and he was charged with murder for the guy that got killed by the cop, Tim Calhoun. That guy 420 would be murdered later on that year by his cellie. The reason was because he was going around telling people that he was busted for a hot one, you know, and that's not cool in prison politics, you know. But Tony gave me his whole paperwork, and on his paperwork it actually says that he was involved in 2 stabbings on his life. That the latest one, that one of the attackers was killed during the assault, and then Tony also, he tried to write a declaration on the guy 420 to try to get him, you know, to help him to beat it, you know. So what I'm going to do, Tony, is I'm going to send that paperwork to you. I was just waiting until I talk to you. That way you'll be able to post it with this story, you know. That way people can see that Tim Calhoun did die during this situation, you know. But that's it.